You are listening to the BillyDees podcast. We are waiting just a minute for everyone to engage the live stream. Remember, you can find the BillyDees podcast on your favorite platform.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to X and any number of different platforms now. We always wait just a moment for everybody to engage the live stream. Sometimes people have to, refresh their browser, their app, or whatever it is that they are using. Getting ready with me is Cynthia Elliott. Cynthia, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Billy. Thanks for asking. I'm looking forward to the show.
I am as well. We're going to talk about a lot of interesting things. I won't list them out because I'm about to do the intro. And also too, I do want to welcome all the people that are on some of the other platforms. Our focus is X only because that's where the majority of the audience is for us. But we are also on Facebook and YouTube, and I'm revisiting Twitch. Have you done a whole lot with Twitch?
No, I haven't. I went through a phase where I tried everything out, but it was during the coronavirus closures, so
Yeah, who knows, right?
who knows, right?
Okay, well, we're going to pause just a moment, and then we'll get right into it. Here we go. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. As always, I am absolutely thrilled that you are here. If you've never checked us out before, we are primarily an interview and a commentary podcast. On Thursday nights, we go live with commentary and opinion-based programming. My co-host for that venture is Cynthia Elliott. Cynthia.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to getting into all the juice tonight or today, whatever it is.
Yes. We go live. Currently, we are in production August 15th. 8:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome, everyone. So glad that you're here, whether you're watching the replay or whether you're watching us live or you're hearing the podcast version. We do reprocess this later. It's a little different than what goes live, but the bulk of it is about the same, and we are available on all the major podcasting platforms. Okay. If you're on X, and I presume that you are, because that's kind of where our stream is predominant, you are probably aware that earlier this week, Elon Musk did a space with President Trump. Now, if the podcast audience in particular, and maybe a lot of other people too, don't know exactly what a space is basically an audio forum that it takes place on the X platform, which used to be Twitter. Spaces did exist before it became X. And basically, you have a host, a number of co-hosts. You can invite speakers up, and any number of people can come in and listen. You don't have to participate or anything like that. You can just simply listen to the space. And that's what Elon did with President Trump earlier this week. Obviously, the listens were in the millions, millions upon millions, and it had its critics. I had people coming after me because I tweeted about it in a favorable manner. And people, this isn't a real interview. This person isn't a journalist, blah, 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 blah. It was not meant to be that. His whole point was to have a conversation so you can hear the person speak unfettered and
Unfiltered.
and not be interrupted all the time. Well, what about this and what about that and what about the other thing and all that bullshit that those so-called journalists do. And quite frankly, from what I understand, Kamala Harris has been invited to do a space with Elon. She apparently either hasn't answered or said no.
She's terrified of the idea. Come on.
Yes, she is. And boy, to have her speak 2 hours unscripted, there would be some sound bites in there, I am sure.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what, even us, I mean, I'll speak for myself here. You can't speak any length of time without either saying something stupid or phrasing something wrong. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah.
But her track record of saying pretty off the wall things is pretty bad. And
Yeah.
if you don't think there's a
Just sliding
media,
those Marxist remarks in.
yes, and yeah, the what we've been unburdened by what has been and what shall be,
What
and
has been has always been. Oh my god, it's just like
yeah, I don't, yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, what I if you don't believe that there's a media bias, imagine, Cynthia, that Time Magazine gives you a favorable cover, not an ugly one, gives you a favorable cover, one of those ones where you're looking off into the distance
yeah, it was an ass kiss.
and you have this majestic look on your face, kind of like my cat gets when I put him on the phone. Okay. And you don't give an interview.
Yeah.
How imagine in what world you get the cover, you get a favorable cover, and you decline to be interviewed by them. Cynthia, I'll let you speak about this. What's your take on that?
I honestly it's to the point now where it's actually laughable how little they've actually let her speak, and I say they because I don't believe for a second that she doesn't have puppeteers. It doesn't surprise me based on her track record, and frankly, they're when they have a lead and they know the worst possible thing they could possibly do is have her open her mouth, they're gonna find every excuse to get her out of situations where her speaking to any of the topics or any of her policies, potential policies,
Yeah.
um, could come up. So they're just keeping her mouth, zipped for
Yeah.
now.
Word is, I'm gonna shout out to Anna Matson, who's here on X, really, really good researcher, RFK Junior supporter. I'm gonna shout out to her. She pointed out that if you go online, you will find extensive policies written out by RFK Jr. and the campaign.
Yeah.
You get a spattering of things from Trump.
Mhm.
Most of them are talking points, ones that you could kind of predict. And with Kamala, there's nothing so
Yeah,
far.
yeah, except, things that Trump's already said. And I've been
Yeah.
getting a lot of, lashback, if you will, for the fact that, I've given her a hard time, but I've given her a hard time for a reason, not because of what my political position on anything is. I give everybody who acts like an idiot a hard time.
Yes. Well, the whole thing, the way, and here again, you and I both discussed at length that we knew that Biden wasn't going to be the man.
Yeah.
What I find distasteful was the way they handled it. I
Oh, so
imagined
bad.
I imagined more of a situation where he came on like LBJ
Mhm.
and had a straight talk with the people and just said, "Hey, look, I'm of a certain age. I want to, enjoy my life. It appears that this strain is becoming very difficult. The polls are not being good to me, and especially what I am doing to the people on the lower tickets. And maybe it's just time for a change." Okay,
Yeah.
I think most of us could have predicted that, but that isn't what happened.
No,
They issued
their boot is still up his backside,
yeah, I think he
a
was
few
forced
weeks
out.
later.
Yeah, he was forced.
I don't think it's surprising though, and this is one of my frustrations with Democrats is A, their inability to acknowledge some of the really, really, sketchy crap that's been going on for the last few years, not even just the last few months, but the last few months has gotten really bad. What they did to Kennedy, running him out of the party,
Yes,
what they did to Tulsi Gabbard and
yes.
continue to do, it just shows a history of destroying anybody who actually speaks their mind in the Democratic Party, and that should to me, that would terrify Democrats, but perhaps they don't wanna think for themselves, they'd rather somebody else do it for them.
This whole thing, the way that was handled with Biden, that letter, which a lot of people said did not seem to be written by him. Now, I don't have no way of knowing that, but I do find that the way that was handled very distasteful. The letter was just pumped out on X, and of course,
Mhm.
X is where a lot of the news starts now, no question. But there was no, it was very unceremonious and just very strange.
I think it was done on purpose that way so that
Yeah.
later on they could point to it as proof that there was force used.
Yes.
Just a prediction there.
Yes. He alluded to that in a recent interview. The Nancy Pelosi and all these other things. And now you mentioned Tulsi Gabbard and the
Mhm.
Democratic Party. You mentioned RFK and the Democratic Party. Kamala now is being ushered in by the Democrats. This is a person. Okay, she was on the ticket when Biden was elected, but in her own primaries. I don't believe she won any.
No.
And her appearance in her role as vice president has been very limited. Her track record prior to that has been very liberal, like defunding the police and all these. Now, whether she actually took part in any policies that affected that, but she spoke about it. So it's really, if I'm a Democrat and I'm one of these people, well, if Trump gets elected, and I'm here again, this doesn't mean I'm a Trump supporter. We always go to the straw man argument now. You can't say anything, you can't criticize Kamala without being for Trump. All I'm saying is if you really believe that they are the champions of democracy, you're living in a false reality. And
Mhm.
Nicole Shanahan, who I'm trying to get on the podcast, by the way,
Amazing.
tweeted out a video, and it was titled "The Big Cheat." Now, I don't have the whole thing here. We won't want to set the whole thing. Besides that, I just want to give you a spattering of what this was about. I would encourage you to go to her Twitter account and watch the entire video. But I'm just going to give you a highlight here of what this video is about to tell you what really goes on in the Democratic Party. And here again, if you're saying that Trump is going to take away your vote, you might want to reconsider what the Democrats have already done. Here we go.
In 2016, the Democratic Party was coming off an 8-year high of ruling American politics. 8 years prior, Barack Obama had burst onto the scene as an unstoppable force, defeating John McCain in a landslide victory. As his presidency was winding down, Democrats knew they needed another sure thing to keep their party going. So who did they turn to? Hillary Rodham Clinton. The Democrat elite's plan to retain power was all coming together, except for one little thing.
1, 2, you know what to do. Feel the burn. Feel the burn.
That's right. A previously little-known senator from Vermont had started a populist movement that was taking over the country. He went from an unknown to a bona fide folk hero almost overnight. The Hillary team started to get nervous as his popularity grew. So what did they do? They cheated. As the Democrat elite transitioned from Obama to Clinton, there was a minor problem within the Democratic Party. At the end of his presidency, Obama had left the party $24 million in debt, $15 million owed to the bank, and more than $8 million owed to vendors from his 2012 campaign. Simply put, the DNC was broke and had no funds leading up to the 2016 election. That was until a friendly donor swooped in to bail him out. And you know who that was? You guessed it, the Hillary Clinton Victory Fund. In an unprecedented move, the Clinton campaign bought out the DNC's debt and gave them millions of dollars in loans to keep them afloat. They now had the power to hold the DNC hostage on the loans they had given them. The Victory Fund that was supposed to be for whoever the Democratic nominee was had now become a fund solely for Clinton. And what did she do? She used it all, of course. From the $82 million, only 1% was allocated for other down-ballot candidates like Bernie. The Bernie campaign soon realized the vast money laundering scheme was a calculated strategy to throw the nomination to Hillary. And that's exactly what happened.
Yes, and here again, for the full video, I would tell you to go to Nicole Shanahan's Twitter account. It's very interesting because this pattern of controlling things continued in 2020, and it's continuing today.
And things have gotten progressively worse.
Yes, and this support for Kamala, this I'll call it the alleged support, is coming from a good segment, not all, but a good segment of the traditional media that has been bought and paid for. And even the influencers. I know a lot of people say she seems really popular on social media. Most of those are paid.
Yeah.
So this hype around her is very much false, and casual Democrats who don't know anything are falling into line behind this hype. And they do this because it works, folks. That's what I always say. If you don't like negative ads, if you don't like these kind of shenanigans, educate yourself in terms of how these things are put together. She doesn't want to appear with Elon Musk or anybody like that because she's not in an environment that is controlled.
Yeah, it goes back to everything that's happened around Biden being the presidential nominee, around the way that they handled him, the way that they handled the debates, the fact that they were able to control those debates and force out any third party like Kennedy. I mean, the whole thing has just made me rather speechless. Not because I'm that surprised that they would do that, because I'm that surprised at how many people in the Democratic Party don't care because they think it's okay to control things as long as you think your agenda matters. But they don't see the implications for that in terms of when it's no longer their agenda. See, they keep thinking that it'll always be their agenda, but that's the problem with gifting people with power that are corrupt.
Yes. All I can say is, as we wind this part of the subject out, is I'm very grateful for Elon Musk because had it not been for him, I know that there's an argument that he's got a lot of power and this, that, and the other thing, but the fact of the matter is he's given a voice that you would not get on other social media platforms, and some of this information can be openly discussed. Even TikTok will shut you down if you're on the wrong side.
Oh yeah, I've seen quite a bit of my own content the minute that I speak about an opinion about things get shut down. I've had my live streams cut um, uh, from the audience because I was talking about spirituality.
Yes, Y- and that's the thing too about X. It really is a media platform as much as
Mhm.
it is a social media platform. And
Oh yeah.
that's another reason why we concentrate on X. Nothing against the other platforms that we're on as far as social media goes. The podcast aside, that's kind of a different type of media. But the idea that X is now a place where news breaks, it starts here first and then goes to the other places, and it has a worldwide reach. That a lot of people that criticized Elon Musk because they felt that it was a bad deal for him to buy Twitter didn't realize what he was really buying wasn't a profit venture. It was the idea that he could transform this into a platform that would be a world voice,
He was
and
securing free speech.
he was
I believed that when he chose to buy it. I knew that he was doing it not because of the money, but because he was honestly and genuinely very concerned about free speech, and look what happened when he bought it. All that proof, the
yes,
Twitter files proving that people were controlling social media platforms during the
yeah.
coronavirus closures and forcing all these behavior, just the whole thing's been appalling, and and thank God for him buying it.
I would say go check out Matt Taibbi if you want to know more about the Twitter files. And here again, this is all stuff you can research. This isn't stuff we're making up. So by all means, do that. Now, it's no secret that this has benefited him. He doesn't spend any money on advertising for Tesla or SpaceX or any of those things, and this has given him a great forum to raise awareness to himself and his businesses, and that's fine. I don't think that's nefarious at all. That's what you do in the media business.
Mhm.
Okay. There's a new trend, I would say, and I'll tell you what the trend is. And I'm going to throw to you because you're not only a marketing person, but you're a woman, and this is what I'm asking. I'm going to play a couple things here for you. First of all, I want to talk about a Republican representative. I hope I'm saying her name correctly, Anna Paulina Luna. She is a House Florida Republican, and I'm going to say MAGA. Straight down the line. Uh, I'm going to put this up, and there's I took the audio out of this for copyright reasons. There was a rock song playing in the background, but I'm going to go ahead and just for our video viewers, just show it, and I'll just briefly describe it for the audio listeners. It's pretty straightforward. You have an attractive woman in a one-piece bathing suit. Now she's getting a little cheeky there, but it's a one-piece
I'm
bathing suit
sorry. I'm
and
sorry.
uh, one-piece bathing suit. Um,
I thought you were gonna show a picture of some woman, like, lounging on a beach, not literally spreading her cheeks for the world over Trump. I mean, I'm
okay.
sorry. I just
Uh,
find people that are that desperate, um, Never
Well,
mind.
this
I'm not
well,
trying to be mean, God bless her, like, she's
well,
a fabulous figure, but come on, you're literally
okay,
spreading your cheeks for another politician.
okay. Well, you got to keep in mind this was in 2016. Now she has a history. I don't know exactly what it is with marketing bathing suits. So I have no doubt that this was a strategic move, in terms of
Oh, I'm sure.
marketing and okay. And
I mean,
I
it is
want
how she got into politics, right?
yes. Now this was back in 2016. Okay.
Yeah, that's
So,
what that is. I'm just saying, if you trace that, that is literally how she got into politics.
okay. This is my point though. And she did follow up. She's capitalizing on this controversy. Some left winger made the comment that this person should be at Hooters, not
Oh,
at,
no.
not in the government. Now,
Yes.
come on, this was back in
No,
2016.
but
This
it
is
doesn't
a
even
young,
matter if it
attractive.
was yesterday. The reason I'm laughing and making fun of her, Billy, is simply because it's the attention seeking that I find like, "Bleh."
Yes,
But I don't give a flying what a woman wears. She can prance around naked if she wants to. If she's good in politics, I don't care. And
yeah,
frankly, just to it's an insult to her and to Hooters to like parallel those things and put them in the same family when they really don't. Like, what
yeah.
does that even have
And
to
I
do
want to
with
be
each
clear.
other?
She did this in a space that is modeling. She wasn't in a classroom in front of a bunch of 6-year-old kids. She's in a one-piece bathing suit. She's not exposing her private parts to children out in public, which has
Yeah.
happened. And Democrats champion that type of stuff. But anyway, Anna did capitalize on this. This was her tweet today. I am confirming that I have indeed worn swimsuits, and you can tell I am biologically a woman, as as the evidence showed, as
Oh.
Cynthia pointed out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
okay, I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, here again, you have this very attractive woman coming out, to appeal to basically people like me. There's
Mhm.
another one I want to talk about is Valentina Gomez. Now, I like this girl's shtick. I'll be honest. I really like her shtick. Okay. But I'm gonna just play a couple clips of Valentina Gomez so you have a good reference point for what I'm gonna say. Here we go.
The UK is now threatening US citizens with arrest for social media posts. My address is public and I don't fear any of these English pussies. I didn't get vaccinated for the China virus, and I'm definitely not getting vaccinated for the monkeypox bullshit that is coming right on time for election season. I want every liberal jabbed, boosted, and with a diaper on their face, while we conservatives continue to make money, shoot big beautiful guns, and fight to make America great again.
Okay. I like her shtick. Okay, and it's designed to appeal to me. Okay.
It
Now
is
here's
designed to appeal to you. I mean, it's designed to get attention. That's what both of them are. That
okay,
they're all.
okay. Well, that's kind of what I want to ask about this.
Mhm.
Now she ran, but she did lose. For a government seat, and she knows that guys like me are gonna, listen to her with that accent and say "pussies" and get all excited. Okay. Um.
Oh my god.
So how much of this?
Yeah.
There's so much of this going on now, where you have these very strong pro 2A beautiful women appealing to a conservative base. This is kind of
Mhm.
like the new trend, and quite frankly, it's coming in at a good time when a lot of people are getting tired of all the left bullshit. So
Mhm.
it's a perfect storm of marketing. Now, what's your take on it? I know you've kind of tipped your hat, but
Yeah. No, no, no.
go
I'm
ahead.
more just making fun. I really don't give a. I'm very. I would be a Democrat if they weren't such crackpots going on over there, because I'm quite liberal. I don't care about somebody's history. I don't care about whether they've posed nude. I don't care if they did drugs when they were teenagers, ran away from home. Like, I do not care. Are you an adult that knows how to do your job, and do you care about the American people? Do you actually
Yeah,
show up? Because the one thing I can say about Kamala Harris is, honestly, I don't see proof of work from her at all. I just do not see that in her history. I've never felt it from her. And so I'm all for a woman who's going to show up and own your sensuality, own your sexuality. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's high time we stopped demonizing women for being in command of their sexuality. Of course, the Republican Party is going to go this direction. They saw what happened with the squad that AOC was a part of. Put some pretty faces in there that can string a few sentences together, and you can get a lot of attention for yourself. So I think it slightly stems from that. And also they knew they had a dated kind of old man brand that most people associate when they think of Republicans. They think of older white men, let's be honest. So throw in
Sure.
some hotties from Miami and wherever else with accents and all that, and you can appeal to a broader, younger people. You can appeal to our black and brown friends, and frankly, I think it was a marketing move. I don't blame anybody for doing it, but I do get really kind of disgusted. I was just saying this earlier because I think a lot of people don't realize, like I don't believe anything I hear anymore. So Blake Lively's getting all this attention right now because her film's come out and she's said some controversial things and done some controversial things, and I literally do not. If they are not going to prison for something that they have done, people are so desperate for attention in the world we live in now because it's so scattered, and to be able to make any kind of an impact, you almost have to drop the P word and throw yourself out there in a bikini, which her own team probably sent out into the world. So yeah, whatever. I mean, I guess it's whatever it takes, on some level. But as a human being, I would rather people win because of the quality of their content and character, and not because they look great in a bikini or bathing suit or drop the P word. But it's all fair in war.
Yes, it is. She touched on a few things there. Let's talk about the British thing. I might have put this up before in a previous podcast, but the UK police commissioner threatens to extradite and jail U.S. citizens over online posts. We will come after you. That's the one of the many headlines there. I find it appalling that the British government would threaten U.S. citizens on U.S. soil to extradite them.
And all that is just one more sign of the demise of, America's at a very fragile place. We're at a fork in the road where if some pretty dramatic things don't happen in the next 2 years, I don't think we're ever going to recover the glory that we had post World War II. England is actually going through a very similar thing. They've had woke mind virus just destroy that country, as has happened in much of parts of Europe. They've literally destroyed some of the beautiful smaller cultures that existed there. And you're watching this happen in the UK, and now you've got things like that, which are just another sign of a disease that needs to be eradicated. So I'm wishing the UK a lot of luck. You see them demonstrating for Trump in their own government courtyards.
Absolutely. This is a case where if I was president of the United States, I would have a hard time stomaching this. I would say, okay, you want to threaten United States citizens over social media posts, that's fine. But the next time some wallpaper hanger rises to power and starts making his way across Europe, you're on your own. And I here again, I'm flabbergasted that a country that we have helped, and they have helped us. They've been a good ally over the past 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Would do something like that. And what they do on their own land, quite frankly, they haven't been good to their own citizens lately.
Yeah.
But that's I'm almost going to say, I'm a little careful about that because I'm careful about criticizing countries in the Middle East. I'm careful about countries that, sometimes detain United States citizens for doing things. Just because you can get away with it here doesn't mean you can get away with it over there. There's an old saying, when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. When you go into Russia, you don't take cannabis products into the country with you. Okay. You got to abide by the rules of that country. But when it goes the other way, when somebody tries to reach within our borders and govern our behavior from a foreign land, that really pisses me off. A good thing to say there was, who do these people think they are?
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about that is, there's a pendulum effect that's happened throughout history. When you look at the situation that's happened in the UK, for the first time in a very long time, there are sections of their country that are coming together that have not come together before. And to see, even just as an example, the Catholics and the Protestants marching side by side, if anything comes of the going in the one direction, it is that they've brought people back together that have not been together in a really long time. And so there's always, a way to try to sort of look at the positive side of what happens there. I think there's enough people in the UK that are very sick, just like a lot of Americans are really sick of the people, a few people screwing over the majority of people, particularly their citizens.
Yeah. 100%. Another thing that Valentina Gomez brought up in that clip that I played, well, that was a couple of different clips, but in the clip I played, there was a couple of topics. The other one is the monkeypox.
Mhm.
The World Health Organization declared that the increasing spread of monkeypox in Africa is a global health emergency, warning that the virus might ultimately spill across international borders. I'm not really real educated on this particular disease. From what I understand, it is not a serious airborne contagion. It's something that requires contact of skin. This includes sexual activity. Now here again, when it starts to spread like that, there's some uncertainty about how contagious it could become. Could it transcend that? Could it become airborne contagion? I don't know, but the general consensus seems to be that the risk to the general public is considered very low and is only expected to produce some sporadic imported cases, largely because of the way that it's transmitted as it stands right now, unless it changes somehow. So here again, I would, do your research on it. Obviously anything that is contagious, airborne or not airborne to a maybe a limited degree, touch, bodily
Mhm.
fluids, all those things. I don't know if it's anything like smallpox. From what I understand, it's not as serious as smallpox. You got to keep in mind, and from when I've been able to gather, they're kind of in the same family. The smallpox vaccine is among one of the oldest vaccines ever. I mean, they came up with that vaccine, by my estimation, before they knew why they worked. They just kind of
Mhm.
figured it out that it did. This is over 200 years old. As a matter of fact, Napoleon
Mhm.
recognized its value and made his soldiers get vaccinated. So, what's your take on the monkeypox?
I think that I could look at it from two perspectives. One, we're very sensitive to anything that's being put out that sounds like it might be like the coronavirus. So the WHO may very well be just doing the same job they've done for years. We're just more sensitive because I know they've put out these kinds of bulletins for
Hmm.
decades. Um, but then I can come from the other end, and that is that I'm kind of tired of these large organizations being so focused on globalization
Yeah,
that they're taking away the independent decision making that goes on in different countries and our ability to just function. And frankly, I'm a little bit concerned about a world that keeps trying to eradicate everything because
yeah,
when we have no immunity as people, which we do pass on to our children, then what happens one day when and there's no real immunity? Come on. So a lot of these vaccines that happened during the car, they weren't even vaccines. Like, I don't know, it just bears a whole other conversation,
yeah.
but I don't think anybody in the world is really wanting to be too quick to be putting masks back on anymore.
Yeah, that what she is referring to is the mRNA vaccine that was used for COVID, which technically is not the COVID virus. Like with smallpox, it is.
Mhm.
So yes, it's something that is engineered to basically program your body to attack something. And this has been something that has been very controversial because the word is that this has caused, major
Yeah.
problems, for people,
Yeah,
because
especially because it was really untested.
yes. So, it's going to be interesting. Let me ask you about this. This, I believe, well, first of all, let me tell you, this is how polarized we become. I did a tweet where I just basically said, about the monkeypox. Is this really a concern? It's too bad that we can't believe anything we were told anymore. To me, very benign remark. Okay. And I had these assholes coming at me. Oh, you're swallowing the Kool Aid. You're a jerk. Or, blah blah blah. I mean, So this is where we're at now. Here's with that kind of an attitude. Here's my concern, and you tell me where I'm wrong. Let's suppose that something comes along that is very bad. I mean, it's the kind of bad where we have bodies stacked where we normally put garbage for a truck to come by and load them up. It's that level of bad. Okay. It's
Mhm.
nightmare bad. It's plague bad. Okay. It's Black Death bad. Okay. When something like that comes along, and it very may well someday, and everybody says, oh, here we go with the COVID again, and everybody ignores it. How do we deal with that?
Yeah, I honestly think this is the problem with calling crying wolf. What they did, and one of the reasons I was so profoundly disturbed during the coronavirus is that I wasn't seeing the evidence that I felt needed to be seen to justify the behavior that was going on, and that's the problem with when you make the decision to pull the fire alarm and there's no fire, and then everybody comes back and they haven't reset the alarms. What happens when a fire sets off? And that's like, oh, people really do get hurt. And that's just a shame. Hopefully, with a lot of the advancements that are going on, particularly with AI, we'll be able to address a lot of future issues. But when I was growing up, I had the measles, I had the mumps. I'm not saying that that people should die, but I do think that we've gotten to the point where we've given too much power to a handful of companies that make a lot of money off of
Yeah.
coming up with shots to give people that, frankly, I mean, just in my lifetime, I've rarely seen flu shots actually protect people from the flu. It's usually a guesstimate on which a
Yes.
lot of people don't realize that they think it's actually a vaccine for the flu. It's a vaccine for a particular kind of flu that may or may not be the one. It's the one they're predicting will dominate. But almost historically, throughout all the years I was forced to get flu shots, almost everybody I knew ended up getting the flu anyway, or a
Yeah.
huge majority, just a huge chunk of people. I mean, this is the kind of thing that's been going on since the 70s when Big Pharma really started to put its boots in the ground in our world culture, and now they do so much controlling over how we go about addressing things, and these global organizations, I'm really all for helping cure illnesses around the world and feed people and bring water and things like that, but telling every country in the world what's going to happen and that you're going to get one of these, like, say, the digital ID, which absolutely terrifies me.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that a lot of people don't even seem to know that's going on, it's like, "Wake up, everybody. We've got a handful of people around the world that wanna tell all of us what to do because they see a world, where there's only basically one country, if you will, and they control all people." That's the world
Yeah.
they visualize, and that's terrifying.
It is terrifying. Absolutely. It's going to be a crazy time. That is for sure. We're going to stay on top of it. Here's the topic that we are going to tackle here in the near future, and that is: are some people born evil? We're going to talk about that for the podcast audience. If all goes well with the way this is scheduled, we will have this available as a podcast episode. For those of you who are on X, um, and this is specific to X, we are going to do a space. We have the space scheduled for this coming Monday, and I believe that's the 19th. And this will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to go through a little, like I did before, a 5 or 10 minute, a little monologue, a little presentation. That will be followed up with Cynthia's take. I don't know what hers is going to be, but she's obviously has, the human behavior and the spirituality that she can bring into it if she so chooses. So that should be interesting. Cynthia, as far as other things you are up to, what would you like to let the people know about?
Oh, uh I've got on Wednesday, which is just under a week from now, I'm doing a sit down in conversation and speaking about how to revitalize the American dream, why it's died, what we can do about it, and utilizing artificial intelligence to help fix a lot of our biggest challenges. So I'm excited about that. And on the 8th, I'm doing a trial run for my off Broadway show, Raising Hell in Consciousness, which is cracks me up every time I say the I happen to like the name, of course, I named it.
Mm-hmm.
And my new book, A New American Dream, which is a conversation starter to get people talking about a new American dream, comes out on September 7th. So a busy couple of weeks for me.
Awesome.
I'll definitely
Well,
be traveling a lot. Oh, that reminds me. Thank you, Billy, for sharing that tip I gave you on Emergency Assistance Plus.
okay, sure.
Yeah, yeah, they cover me on all my trips, which is really amazing. So it's nice
Well,
to
that,
know. It's
well,
nice to know
that
I'm
is
covered.
absolutely, that is fantastic. My name is BillyDees. You can find me on X, which is at BillyDees. That's kind of like my social media home. We are on virtually all that I am aware of, all the major podcast platforms. We're going on a 10-year history for the BillyDees podcast. I've been doing this longer than that, but the show in this form is going on 10 years. So we're real easy to find on all the major platforms. Please check us out. Got some interesting things coming up for you. I talked to a very interesting author. That episode is going to come out next week. And here again, we're going to be doing the Spaces on X. And we have more conversations about politics and current events coming your way. So very much appreciate your kind attention. Cynthia, thank you so much again for co-hosting.
Thank you, Billy.
Absolutely. And we will talk to you again very, very soon.
Thank you for listening to the BillyDees podcast. Follow BillyDees on X @BillyDees for updates about the program.